started innocently enough, the feeling of being watched, the kind you dismiss as paranoia. But what if that feeling was real? What if the watcher wasn't human? That's how my nightmare began. I remember the first night it happened. I was home alone, sitting in my room, scrolling through my phone. It was late, around midnight, and the only sounds in the house were the faint creaks of the floorboards and the low hum of the fridge in the kitchen. I hadn't heard from anyone all evening, and I was beginning to feel a little too aware of the silence surrounding me. Then I heard it, a whisper. It was so faint that at first I thought I imagined it. But then it came again, louder this time, like a low murmur. My heart skipped a beat. I quickly turned around, expecting to see someone standing behind me, but there was nothing. No one, just my empty room. I laughed nervously to myself, shaking off the feeling. Maybe it was just the wind outside or the house settling. But the whispers didn't stop. They came every night after that, faint at first, but growing more distinct with each passing night. The whispers became clearer, almost like words, but I couldn't make them out. It was as though someone was speaking just out of reach, their voice an eerie echo in my ears. The fear crept in slowly at first, until I couldn't deny it anymore. Something was there, something that was not supposed to be. The next step was when I started seeing it, the shadow. It was subtle at first. I would catch a glimpse of something moving out of the corner of my eye, a dark shape that seemed to fade the moment I turned to face it. But then it grew bolder, taking form in the dark corners of my room when I was alone. I would sit in bed, staring at the walls, trying to focus on anything else, but I could feel it, the presence, looming in the shadows. I started avoiding the dark corners of my room, but no matter where I went, I couldn't escape it. It followed me. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, heart racing, the feeling of being watched suffocating me. And when I dared to glance around my room, there it was, the shadow, closer than before, standing still like it was waiting for something. At first, I convinced myself it was all in my head. Maybe the stress of school and life was getting to me. I tried to rationalize it, to tell myself that the shadow was just a trick of the light, that the whispers were only the wind, or maybe the old house just made strange sounds. But the more I tried to dismiss it, the more intense the experiences became. One night, I woke up to a whisper so loud, it was as if someone was right beside me. "I'm here," it said. My blood ran cold. I froze in place, my eyes darting around the room, but there was nothing, just the silence, broken only by my shallow breathing. The shadow had grown stronger. Now it wasn't just lurking in the corners. It was moving, slowly, methodically, like it was learning how to be more than just a dark shape. It would move across the walls, stretching and shrinking as if it was reaching for something, or someone. I could feel it, always watching, always waiting. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to find out what was going on. I decided to stay up all night, to face whatever was haunting me. I sat on my bed, the room bathed in the dim light of my desk lamp, determined to get to the bottom of this. Hours passed. The air grew heavier, thicker. I could feel my pulse in my ears. And then, just as I thought I was losing my mind, I saw it. The shadow. It was no longer just a blur. It was solid, tall, stretching across the room like a dark figure, its edges sharp and well-defined. I could almost make out features, but they weren't human. Its face was obscured, a black void where eyes should be. The whispers came again, louder, clearer now. "You've been mine all along." The words sent a chill through my spine. I backed away, my body frozen in terror. The shadow seemed to shift, as though it was aware of my fear, and it began to move toward me. My heart pounded in my chest as I stumbled backward, my eyes fixed on the dark figure that was now inching closer. I couldn't think straight. I ran for the door, but the room seemed to stretch out, the walls closing in on me. The door felt miles away, and no matter how fast I ran, the shadow was always behind me, its presence suffocating, like a dark cloud hanging over me. I reached the door and slammed it shut behind me, my hands trembling as I locked it. I leaned against the door, gasping for air. But the whispers didn't stop. They followed me, seeping through the cracks in the walls, the floors, the very air around me. It was inside me too now, the shadow a part of me. I thought I had escaped, but I hadn't. I was only beginning to understand the truth. The shadow didn't just haunt my room, it had haunted me for years. It had always been there, watching, waiting. It had been growing, feeding off my fear, my loneliness, my doubts. And now, it was more than just a shadow. It was a part of me, and it would never leave. I couldn't run from it anymore. The shadow had already claimed me, and now, it was here to stay.